Hey, welcome back to our exclusive 2021 season reveal live stream broadcast, live and direct from your historic Calumet Theater. And we're sitting here right now in our tech booth, which is situated on the first balcony. And we're glad you could join us. And we're really excited to have this gentleman join us right now, widely acclaimed as the world's greatest acoustic guitar player. And with the acoustics that we have here at this theater, this is going to be a phenomenal show. So would you please make welcome with me the one and only Tommy Emmanuel. Well, hey, Tommy, thanks so much for joining us. We're so excited to have you with us, not only today, but really looking forward to having you with us in August, you along with Joe Robinson. And thank you, sir, for
Thank you.
being part of our season schedule this year.
Thank you, Marlin. Much appreciated. And isn't it great that we're finally being able to get out and play and take music to the people? That's what we live for.
No, absolutely. And, you're a guy that got started very young in this business. You and your brother, now correct me if I'm wrong on this, you guys were like in a little combo growing up in Australia, right?
Correct. Yeah. My eldest brother, Chris, was the drummer. And then my elder sister, who's no longer with us, she played Hawaiian steel guitar. And my brother, Phil, who's no longer with us, he was the lead player, and I was the rhythm player who covered the bass at the same time, simply because I didn't know there was a bass guitar on the record. I just naturally thought that the rhythm player played the bass part. So that's how I ended up, at such an early age, being able to play bass parts and rhythm at the same time. And I had no idea what I was doing, but I was just trying to make the sound that I heard on the record or on the radio, right? And then, of course, when I was about 7, I heard the great Chet Atkins on the radio, and I said to my dad, he's playing everything at once, and my dad was like, no, it's a recording trick and all that stuff. But I worked it out, and I still, to this day, I don't quite know how to explain that, but, because I have children, and when they were, like, I have a 6-year-old daughter, and I look at her and I think, I was already on the road touring and playing shows when I was her age. How is that possible,
Right, right.
You just following your instincts, that's all you know.
Well, and that's one of the things that is so unique about what you do. And obviously, Chet Atkins was an idol for you. That
Totally.
you kind of refer to yourself as being a one-man band. That you're able to play the lead and the rhythm and percussion. And what was it that turned you on to Chet Atkins' style? Was it that one-man band thing? And
Well,
for
nobody, you got to remember, in the late 50s, early 60s, nobody sounded like Chet Atkins. His records sounded better than everyone else's. His ideas were way ahead of everybody else. And it was just like, he was the name on everyone's lips, have you heard that guy, Chet Atkins? Yeah, it's a recording trick. You know what I mean? It was so good that you couldn't believe what you were hearing. But then when you worked it out, you realized how it worked. And, it was way ahead of its time. But it was also his choice of songs and how interesting his arrangements were that kind of kept me chasing it and kept me inspired, And
so what was it like when you finally met your hero? And you're one of those guys, I think there's 4 or 5 of you, that Chet bestowed the honor of certified, guitar player, that. I know Steve Warner's one of them, and I know Steve, and he's a terrific player. But what was it like when you finally got to meet your idol?
Well, I wrote him a letter when I was 11, and I just wrote on the envelope, this is true, Chet Atkins, Nashville, America. That's all, right? I didn't know any better. Put some stamps on it and sent it. And about 2 months later, I come home from school and my mother says, go into your bedroom, there's something on your bed. And it was a big brown envelope like that. And it had American stamps on it. And my heart just leapt. And I opened it, and it was a letter from Chet and a black and white photo signed to me. And this is 1966. So imagine how busy he was then. You know, he had a roster of artists. He was producing artists. He was the A&R director from RCA Records. He was just so busy, but he took time to write back to some kid in Australia. And then fast forward to 1980, I get a note from Chet, and he says, if you come to Nashville, here's my number, call me. And apparently some people had recorded me playing and sent the tapes to him. And he was all excited about what I was doing and wrote to me. And so I came to America for the first time to make the pilgrimage. And I came to Nashville, and Chet and I hooked up at his office, and we played, and we became instant family. And he was like a daddy to me for the rest of his days.
You know, and that's such a terrific story, but you know, you have kind of taken that mantle from Chet Atkins, because you've got a guy that's going to be opening and hopefully playing a few tunes with you here at the theater, Joe Robinson. And I've got to tell you, I became familiar with Joe Robinson via a friend of mine who played here at the theater 2 years ago, Leroy Parnell.
Oh, yeah, Leroy.
Yep. And also Rodney Crowell, who played here 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And when I booked Rodney, you know, I was talking to the booking agent, and I said, Joe Robinson's coming, right? And he said, no, he's on tour. And I went, oh, well, so then they bring a guy named Jed Hughes in.
Yeah,
he's another Australian,
right.
And he's terrific. And I'm going, what is it in the water in Australia? You know, that you've got these great finger picking guitarists. So you've kind of taken on, you know, you and I both are getting younger, but you now, you know, Chet was the senior statesman, and you looked up to him, and now you've got a generation that looks up to you. How does that make you feel?
Oh, well, you know, I couldn't ask for more blessings than that. But, you know, what I wanted, my vision years ago, 30 years ago, my vision was to make a trail around the world for young guitar players to follow, and to see that if you put the work in, you will get somewhere, you know, and you just got to keep at it. You got to keep reinventing yourself, and you got to give everything you can every single time on stage, 100% or nothing, you know. That's the way I look at it. If you don't give everything, then get the hell out of the way, because I'm coming on. You know, that's always been, you know, that's my attitude and my work ethic. And I give my audience everything I can. I give it all away every night. And I love it, because I get to do it again tomorrow, you know. And so I tried to cut a trail and kind of leave some M&Ms, you know, for young people to follow. Because really, there was only Leo Kottke, you know, for us to look at and see, here's a solo acoustic guitar player selling out halls and traveling around the world. What can I, you know, when I first saw Leo in Australia, his show was brilliant. He was great. He was funny and everything. But he sold out the Sydney Town Hall. He stayed in a 5-star hotel and got picked up by a white Rolls Royce. And I said, that's for me.
Hey, by the way, Leo Kottke has played at this theater before, too.
I bet he has. He's played everywhere.
Well, yeah, he lives in Minnesota, so he's not too far away from us. But
Minnesota,
you know, and you're going to love this place. I got to brag up our theater a little bit.
I bet.
Because it was built in 1900. And, you know, you go back to when this place first opened during the copper boom, and you had people like Lon Chaney Sr. and Douglas Fairbanks Sr. and Sarah Bernhardt.
Really?
Yes, played this theater. and it's beautiful. It's got great acoustics, and you are going to fit like a glove
Oh, how
at this
wonderful.
theater. And we are so excited about having you and young
Oh,
Mr. Joe Robinson
oh
here
yeah,
to do
Joe
what
is.
you do.
It's gonna be great. You know, there's something that is so magical about playing in old theaters, theaters that have a history and all that. I remember uh, playing in a place in England. Now it's called City Varieties, and it's the oldest theatre in England. So imagine how old that is. And the guy said to me, "You're standing on the spot where Houdini used to perform. You're
Sure. Yeah.
standing on the spot where blah," and he rattled off all these names. You know, what was his name? The the great writer who wrote Shakespeare. He
Right.
said Shakespeare performed on this stage, and
Wow.
and he sat on that chair. And
No,
there's a
that's a humbling experience, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I remember being in a place, the Opera House down in South uh, um, South Carolina, and I walked out on stage, and I felt like if I looked up into the balcony, that Abraham Lincoln would be sitting there, because it just felt. I went back
Right.
in time,
Right.
and it was beautiful. And I love those theaters. So we'll definitely take in as much as we can when we're there, Marlon.
Well, hey, it's an honor to have you. Hey, and I want to ask you one more thing too,
Oh,
because
please do.
you seem like a really down to earth, humble guy, and
Thank you.
when you got people like Chet Atkins and guys like Eric Clapton praise you to the hilt as, man, greatest guitarist I've ever seen. I mean,
Hmm.
it's got to make your heart swell with pride. But I mean, what do you think when you hear those kind of accolades from people that are so phenomenal themselves, and they direct those compliments towards you?
Well, I appreciate it, but I don't even let it sink in, kind of thing. It's, I try my best to encourage people like Joe, and young people all around the world. And I keep that as my mission, you know. As far as what other people think of me is none of my business. My business is to show up and do my best and to help others as much as I can. And I only think that way. I would never say, "Hey, guess what Eric Clapton said, blah, blah, blah." Eric's a friend. He's the sweetest guy you ever met. And he's helpful to everyone, you know. But to have a quote is a sure, it certainly is endearing and is encouraging. But, I still have to get to work every day. I'm not going to let up and say, well, I'm just going to rest on my laurels now and smell the roses. To hell with that. There's too much work to do.
Well, hey, sir, it's a honor to be speaking with you tonight,
Oh, same here.
and we really
Thank
look
you.
forward to having you and Joe Robinson joining us for our Center Stage series in August. And God bless you, and thank you for
Bless you, brother.
being a part of the continuing history of the Calumet Theater. And we'll see you in a few
Love it.
months.
All right, brother. Thanks
All
again.
right.
Thanks
Thanks,
again.
Tommy. Hey, don't go away. More coming up on our exclusive 2021 season reveal live stream broadcast from your historic Calumet Theater.